welcome to another episode of What You Doing Podcast, the interview podcast where I talk to cool people about the amazing stuff they're working on. My name is Matt. This week, I'm sitting down with Aviv and Eran about their upcoming graphic novel, Crystal Heart, as well as talking about their work on the webcomic that spawned it, Up to 4 Players. This was really exciting. I used to read Up to 4 Players back when I was really big into reading webcomics, and Aviv was looking for interviews on social media, and it just fit. I've said multiple times, as much as I love having TTRPG people on the show, I love being able to branch out and kind of get back to the root of the show, which is kind of anybody talking about anything. You'll hear more from me in the outro, so let's get into it.
Ooh, this is the first time I'm seeing Eran's new office as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I like it. Hey, I see that Bulbasaur back there. We're best friends now. That's how it works. Eran's like, he's just back there. I don't know what it is. I just...
No. Wait, is it behind you a Bulbasaur as well?
Yeah, right here.
Yeah. Okay.
And I have plant stuff, so that's something.
There you go.
Doesn't count. Doesn't count. The grass. It's grass type, not plant type.
I was willing to extend the hand. I was so ready. No,
not here.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to What You Doing Podcast, the interview podcast where I talk to amazing people about the cool stuff they're making. My name is Matt. Today, joining me is Aviv and Eran. Say hello.
Hello.
Hey.
I do that all the time, too, where I'm like, I don't know where they're going to end up once I actually do the edit. And I don't know where I am in relation to y'all, so who knows? We're here to talk about Crystal Heart, the new graphic novel, finally coming to print. First time in print.
First time in print, finally coming to print. It's all true. We've been working on the webcomic for 7 years. 7 years. And we've printed like the first 3 issues, just indie printing, taking them to cons and stuff. But this is the first time where the whole thing is coming to print. And it is a big one. It's 336 pages. So I don't know how we'll if we want to go to conventions with it, we'll need to like hire a van or something. It's going to be big.
Just so you know, I am going to get myself, we live in the UK, I'm going to get myself a UK driving license next year. One of the reasons is thinking about when we need to go to conventions. After I've been to UK Games Expo, which is really big, but you go there on a train, and then I thought to myself, if I want to open some sort of a stand there, going on a train is just not feasible. So I will need a van or something.
Just bringing a big thing right on. Just like, excuse me, look out.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we were doing in the last years. In the last few years,
yeah, but not outside of London. We've been doing it inside of London.
Yeah, true.
How is this for? Is this how we usually begin?
This is great. Yeah, this is usually. Okay. This is not the first time that we've had this sort of intro and people have gone, Is this good? Is this right? And it's like for this show it is. This is just we just talk. This is kind of my goal is to just casual conversation. Somebody's doing a cool thing. Let's talk about the cool thing. Let's talk about what they like to do. You know, I try to keep a slightly on the edge of professional casual vibe where it's just like, hey, you know, we're just, you know, everybody's wearing pants is just kind of where I want it to be.
I mean, the webcam.
Yes. Do we have to commit to that before?
I don't have to verify it, but I will say I'm wearing pants, and that we can, and that's the statement we'll stand on. We don't have to go any further than that. We don't have to interview that anymore.
Appreciated. Thank you. Thank you for accommodating to our UK sensibilities.
But before we get too deep into it, let's do intros. Aviv, please lead us off.
Hi, I'm Aviv. I'm an illustrator and comic artist. I've worked with Critical Role and Penny Arcade, Dropout TV, Hitpoint Press, a bunch of other people and companies that you may know in the tabletop space. And these days I'm mainly working on comics. I'm drawing comics for Dark Horse, which is like a dream I had when I was a teenager. So I'm doing it now.
And Eran?
Hello, my name is Eran. I am a creator in the tabletop space. My day job is an editor for Son of Oak, the guys behind City of Mist, and now Legend in the Mist, which is Ian Wald's most anticipated fantasy RPG or even just a general RPG for 2025, which is funny because it's coming on 2026. No, actually, it's coming like
just spending the whole year waiting patient.
The PDF is coming right around the corner. The physical thing will take a while. And beyond that, I was a translator. I translated to, you might have noticed from Aviv, doesn't have an accent really, but my accent is pretty clear. I've been in the UK for the past 13 years or so, and still this is the best I got. And originally, we're both from Israel, and I translated most role-playing games that ever existed that were translated to Hebrew. It was me. I was the one that translated them. And beyond that, I publish my own small games as well. But most importantly, the both of us together have been working on various projects throughout the years, and lately, Crystal Heart.
I read, I guess the first, I don't know if you would call it the first chapter, the first arc,
Sure.
through when they leave the first town. And I really, well, I guess it's fair to say I've been reading up to 4 players for years. I was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I remember reading up to 4 players for a good little bit. And so I was excited to see this project and to see Aviv ask for interviews. Because I've had a lot of tabletop creators on the show, kind of unintentionally. Like my plan is to always have like people who do whatever. But I've just kind of, I found
there's a D20 on your shirt, so you're putting that out into the universe.
Listen. I knew what shirt I was wearing. There's a lot of people making tabletop games, and they're all very available. And I don't say that as a judgment statement, but they're all very available. So I was very excited to see this of something that's TTRPG related, but slightly different and in a different lane.
Yep. We too. We are. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Aviv, I think we are both still excited by just how sort of like pivoting, unusual, strange, different this project is, considering that it doesn't really, nothing exactly like this really exists in role-playing game world, and also how difficult it is to sell it to people and to explain to people what it is, exactly because of the same reason. And
should we maybe explain what it is, just in case people start listening?
I feel like maybe.
Crystal Heart is a comics about 4 friends who are playing a tabletop RPG in an original setting where everyone's hearts are made of stone, and special agents can replace their own stones in a very complicated and dangerous procedure. Yep, there we go. Can replace their own hearts with crystals that they find lying about in the world that give them a set of strange superpowers, but also change their personality in some kind of unexpected way. And the comic kind of follows both what happens in the story. So these player characters who are agents of this organization. I've never seen it happen with, well, the podcast audience can't hear it, but whoever watches the video can see some beautiful mime work by Eran. Really top-notch stuff.
The book will not do that if you buy it, sadly. You have to do it yourself.
Yeah. The comic follows both what happens in the story and also what happens around the table, because that's half the fun of role-playing games.
That's half the point of the story. It's not a story about a fantasy world. It's a story about people playing a fantasy world.
Exactly. And you see the dice rolls and you see the rules being explained, and they are actually being explained. Crystal Heart is played in Savage Worlds, which is a real system that the GM, takes his players through and explains everything as they play. And as you read the comic, you kind of learn how to play Savage Worlds. In that way, it's kind of like an actual play that you watch, like Critical Role. But I have had a short conversation with Dr. Emily Friedman, who kind of challenged me on why am I calling this an actual play? Because those are usually, originally there were transcripts of actual plays, actual sessions that happened. And and Crystal Heart isn't. It isn't like this. We played this, and now we're showing you exactly what happened. It is entirely fictional, but it is kind of. I called it mockual play, like a mockumentary to a documentary. So, Crystal Heart is a mockual play.
I'm happy to explain why I think it is an actual play.
Okay.
Way more than, but we will need, but later maybe. Maybe we'll get to it later. But I have good reasons to think that this is actually play.
In the hot takes section, maybe.
Yeah, we'll come back to it. But so like I was saying at the top, I was really excited to see this because I grew up reading webcomics. I remember reading.
Sluggy freelance.
I'm gonna date myself really hard here. I remember like the original runs of Penny Arcade before the redesign. I remember back before Control Delete was just a meme. I remember reading VG Cats. I remember, I would read Mega Tokyo before everybody got all weird about it. Like, I remember, like, and
not Sluggy Freelance. You've never read Sluggy Freelance?
I think Sluggy Freelance is even before that.
It's even before all of those.
Yeah, there's always the early. No matter how early you think you are, there's always an early.
Yeah.
But so. Yeah. I'm curious to see, I'm curious to hear that people struggle to understand the format, and maybe it's just my familiarity with the sort of packaging of webcomics that they're generally they're kind of whatever they're stories told in a number of ways.
I don't think they don't understand the format. I think that our difficulty was. And I said difficulty, but in fact, it was surprisingly easy to find a publisher. Dark Horse. We're getting it out through Dark Horse. And the reason is that Aviv is already working with them. And they liked it. And that's it. And that's great. That's incredible. But generally speaking, when we started to think about how we sell this concept, just having a webcomic and having it in chapters, it's a thing. You know how to do it. Everyone knows how to do it. What it is about and what is the selling point? Why should I read this? Is tricky.
What was the moment, to turn a phrase? What was the moment it sort of crystallized as to like this is the thing to focus on to people. This is the bit that they gravitate to.
I think it differs when we sell it to people at a convention where we can just show them what it is. It's really easy then. You just flip a few pages and you can very clearly see, these are the real life people, the fictional characters who are real life. It's very difficult. What we define as player character in the comic versus player character of the player character. Anyway, very difficult. But as soon as you show people what it is, I think it immediately, they get it. They get the theme, the concept, the atmosphere because of Aviv's style.
Mm-hmm.
The
style that Aviv did with it. I mean, this is all the fact that this is a comic. Once you see it, you get it, but you really need to see it.
Yeah, it's kind of condensing it into one sentence. Oh, Crystal Heart is... it's a superhero fantasy role play.
It teaches you also learn.
It's figuring out what the genre tags are of like where it's going to be in the library of like, well, is it superhero or is it fantasy or is it a game?
So there's like just 20 of those, one after another, and they're all true, but none of them can like really stand on their own.
Yeah. I guess let's talk about the sort of original thing. Let's talk about up to 4 players. What was, it seems basic to start with, but what got you started doing a webcomic? What was, the early days of the internet?
Aviv, do you want me to get to give the full spiel?
Is it going back 20 years spiel or just...
No.
Just,
no.
Okay.
No, we don't go back 20 years.
Go ahead.
We can, but we probably should start. So about 13 years ago, I moved to the UK and I was alone. and I wanted to do something interesting. I was alone. I was with my wife, yes, but I mean, I was lonely. I wanted to do something interesting. I wanted to do it in Hebrew. So I started a podcast with a good friend from Israel. That podcast is still running, by the way. It's a role-playing. It's Israel's premier role-playing podcast, I would say. And it was very successful in the first year or two, and we decided to do a Kickstarter because that's what you do at the time. About 13 years ago is generally when Kickstarter sort of started. And what do you do? Patreon didn't exist yet. So what do you do when you want to get money and you want to fund the next year? You do a Kickstarter. And one of the things that we said is Aviv and I are going to do a webcomic. It was a stretch goal, I think, which we reached. And I don't remember how much it was, but an amount of money
was different then. It doesn't matter.
Yes, it was 2013. It was we traded shells.
And the reason for that is that Aviv and I did a webcomic 10 years before that. That's 20 years. Yeah. When I was an editor in a video game website in Israel, and with Aviv, we did was it 2 or 3 times a week?
Twice, I think. Twice a week.
Twice a week. Short strips, like 3 panels, something about video games generally. And it was success. It was great. People still remember it to this day, which is an honor, really. But it also meant that when we said Aviv and I will do a webcomic, everyone understood what we meant. It was a sense of specific humor. It was a sense of quality, I hope. And so we started, and we said we're not going to just do it in Hebrew. There's not a lot of market for Hebrew speakers. There's like 7 of them, and 2 of them are in this room. So we decided to do it in English and started up to 4 players and decided this would be about board games and not role-playing games, even though the podcast was, and even though that's our first love, because again, we thought there are maybe 7 role players in the world compared to like 200 board gamers, which is
even 2013.
Which is not a lot, but it is a lot more than how many role playings there are.
And also, I would add that it's much easier to find visual material for a board game related webcomic than a role playing related comic. Even though we managed to find some later.
Still, it's easier to do it with. When you need to do a gag, 2 gags a week, because again, 2 strips, it's easier to just pick a thing. While in role-playing games, there's no really a thing. What would you do? Every time you'll find a joke about a different system? Otherwise, you would need to tell a story and have laughs within that story or about that story, which is what we later did, of course. But at the time, we thought, this is way too much work, and we don't want this. We just want 2 strips a week. And that's it. And that's how it started. And we did every strip, both in Hebrew and in English, because we promised to the people in Israel that we'll do it in Hebrew. All of them still exist somewhere on the internet. All of ours, all of the English ones are still on up4players.com. They are still available there. And it was mostly board games. And then, I don't know why, Aviv, we decided to do a short arc, which was like 4 strips, maybe, which is like 2 weeks then, about role-playing games. And we decided to specifically show Edge of the Empire, which is a great role-playing game. I really like it. And we decided to explain it. And we decided to show, again, not what is happening inside the world, but what is happening around the table. And Aviv came up with the brilliant graphic illustration design concept that when a person is speaking in character, she has this overlay on top of them that makes them look like the character, but it is still clearly you're seeing them in the room, right? You're seeing the person doing the voice because their speech balloon is in a different color now as well. And that was great. It really sold. Maybe it sold Edge of the Empire as well, I don't know. But people really liked the explanation for Edge of the Empire, and people really like what was going on there. And I think that might have been the first real step for us to think, we're sort of getting tired of this format. we did, I think, 144 strips, and like at least 20 strips before we ended, we've already decided that we want to end this and do something else, more long form, to tell an actual story, which is a thing that we wanted to do many years before with a different project called Singularity, which is available online for free if you want to download it, the first chapter. But that we never managed to lift it off the ground. But it was the proof of concept that Aviv and I really want to do a long form thing.
Mm.
And eventually it happened at the end, Dark Horse.
And that's why we're here. We did it.
Yep, basically. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Yay!
I find it really funny that the explanation was, well, we did this thing and we thought we don't want to explain TTRPGs, so we'll do board games. And then sometime later you were like, what if we explain TTRPGs?
We really, really like TTRPGs.
Yeah, it's what we love. We can't escape it.
It's fantastic. Like I said, I read the first sort of chapter of Crystal Heart, and it is so amazing. The sort of because I would read it, and then I think I read 6 or 7 strips, and then I remembered the way that you read web comics because I was out of practice, and I went all the way back to the beginning, and I was like, you got to read the blurb after the web. You got to read the web comic, and then you have to read the words.
We really tried to avoid that. I mean, I wrote a lot in the blurbs, especially in the beginning. I have a lot to say. Part of it was explaining what is happening rules-wise. There was some demand. Some people was asking, can you get into more details about what is actually going on?
Mm-hmm.
Even though, again, we really worked hard to make sure that you never need to read the blurb. But other times it just had a lot to say theory craft-wise about what was happening. And yeah.
Well, the posts under the webcomics are, like Eran said, you don't need them to understand the comics. You don't most of them don't appear in the printed version because then it would be 700 pages, and that just doesn't make sense.
You have to release a separate book.
Exactly,
it's the companion book,
the companion textbook to really delve deep.
Right.
But yeah, the posts at the beginning, they were more like talking along what Nadav, the GM, is thinking, and what he's doing behind the scenes. But as we progressed with the comics, there was so much in-depth theory and just talking about role-playing games and grabbing onto interesting moments in the comics itself and expanding on them. And it's okay. What I want to tell people: don't read the comics online. Buy it when it comes out this November 2025. Pre-order. But I also want to tell them, after you've pre-ordered and you enjoyed it, go to the website and read these delicious nuggets of insight from someone who has so much experience in tabletop games and role-playing games, both running and playing and everything around. Just there's so much good there. So much.
You really have to know what you're doing in order to plot out something like this. That's here's this, and this character is going to do this, and then that means they're going to need to do. I don't even know how I would start to sit down to write this out. To be okay, here's the story, and then now I have to learn the mechanics, and then map the mechanics into the moments, and then I have to, and then you have to go back and be okay, but what if this funny thing happened? That maybe actually what happened is they don't succeed during that moment, and that that would. I know I'm sitting in front of the people that did it, but it sounds ridiculous.
This is one of the reasons I'm thinking this is an actual play, because I did not really wrote it I was mostly in charge of writing. It was a combined effort, right? I mean, every chapter, everything we said before, and we decided what is generally happening. I just turned it into the actual script, and then Aviv edited it and changed it. And in general, I didn't think about what the story is. I thought, what are the main points that need to be delivered exactly like in a role-playing game? And I didn't know what the characters are going to do. I waited until that thing happened, and they reacted. I wrote them as if, because I know the players very well. I know each of them, what they would do, what tricks, what makes them tick, what tricks them also, what sort of things, what their motivations are, what the thought of. So I didn't. It was an actual play in the sense that I was both the GM and the players, but I was both the GM and the players. I wasn't writing them all beforehand or planned them out as you would in an actual story, and then sort of set them on and then fluffed it around. And this also needed to be funny is incredibly important because we really, really wanted to make sure that every page is funny. Every page stands by its own because we have a page a week. And that means that you have to wait 7 days until the next one. So it had to be satisfying. Every page must be satisfying and funny, because we'll have funny. we want to be lighthearted, except for the times where we're very heavy, which is only works because we are lighthearted the rest of the time.
Yeah,
And that's maybe is where the actual skill that we've developed over time is, making sure that it's funny while still guiding them along the correct path and then seeing what happens.
I think that a lot of it comes from, because we have this history of developing these characters in up to 4 players.
Yeah.
They already had some personality. They already, like Eran saying, I know how these players would react. It's because he wrote them for little 2-a-week jokes for 2 or 3 years.
Yes.
So that really helps. And that's also where we practice our joke and humor and comedy skills. So it all comes together. But it's so interesting that you say, like, I get your point about it being an actual play, because actually what we planned ahead was not the comics. It was the campaign, exactly.
Yes. I mean, we knew that X and Y must happen. We didn't know who is going to do it, but this is not different from how actual plays that we see in YouTube, and not talking specific about Critical Role, obviously that's the first one that comes to mind, but I mean, almost all of them are not actually people playing, of course. It's theatrics. It's performative. It is never, the best one are very performative. That's the whole point. We want them to entertain us, not themselves. Themselves also, but we want this as a form of entertainment. And I'm thinking about Dungeons and Daddies, which is an incredible podcast. And one of the best things about it is that they do, after each episode, they do a dad talk when they talk about the episode. And during that, you can see how all of them are thinking like
movie makers.
Like movie makers, exactly. I am portraying this character, but I'm always thinking of this moment and where the movie can go and how does it look, etc., which is not how most people think about their characters when they're role-playing. But because they think about it this way, because they are putting the character in specific situations and make them behave in specific ways to make them entertain, this is why it's entertaining. This is why this actual play is so very worth listening to. And it's exactly with us, I think. Yeah, we planned forward. This episode has to be about this and this and this. These things will happen. And we just don't know how. We don't know how the players will act. We don't know yet what sort of funny moments will happen, what sort of exciting moments will happen. What is the way that the 4th chapter, Heartless, is about an investigation. I didn't know how the investigation is going to go when we started it. I had a general idea, but I followed with them from one point to the next, which is also generally my GMing style, which I think makes sense.
So it's not an actual play because of what the characters in the comic do. It's an actual play because what the comic is a solo game that Eran played with himself and just kind of used some Savage World rules. That's why it's an actual play.
I think so, yes.
I'm not surprised M had academically interested pushback on that, because I think M is very, very interested in the actual play space and the definition and the goals and things that people do in a way that's I love. Like every time M posts and talks about stuff, I think sometimes, in the way that you can't with everybody, sometimes I don't agree, but also she has such an academic like focused interest that I love. Mm-hmm. I love seeing her talk about it anyway. And I think like you said, Eran, there's more production in actual play than I think people like consider. For realistically what happens, I think if people think Critical Role, like everybody in Critical Role just walks in the room with their dice and is like, okay, Matt, let's go. I'm excited for this adventure that I don't know anything about. Like, that's a little silly. That's not how that works. I know you have to assume, and and I'm sure they've talked about it. There's conversations with like, what do you want your character to do? What sort of things do you want to do? Do you want to have a scene with your brother in the upcoming arc? Okay, cool. Let's start, which is what you would do anyway if you were running a game at home, And so I think there are ways that actual play as a format can mirror home games. And then I think in the ways that how people want them to be productions and want them to be entertaining, there's ways that they don't. And it's interesting to see how some do things other, like some are like, no, like we're a lot more specific with the table talk and we talk about it more as part of the show. And then there's ones that like, no, we talk about it outside as part of production. And so it seems more seamless. And
yeah, it's a whole spectrum. Like you get the really beautifully edited and produced shows like Dimension 20.
Dimension 20, yeah.
And then you get the more, this is just us around the table, take it or leave it. This is what you get. And there's something for everyone.
It's interesting to see the dichotomy. And so coming back to Crystal Heart, I think it's such an interesting view to see. I think if it was just the story of the characters in the game, I don't think it would be as, I don't want to say it wouldn't be as exciting, but I think having that extra layer where you see the interaction between the players bleed into the interaction between the characters and cycle back and forth, the above table talk going into the character talk and then coming back. The bit that I just read, the combat with the werewolf, I really loved. Every character got their own strip, and then you had the initiative cards for Savage Worlds. Savage Worlds uses playing cards for initiative. Was just sort of tucked into the strip in a very.
It's great that you bring it up. This is Aviv. This is Aviv idea, and it again shows that there is a specific skill set of a comic artist who has created and maintained the language of showing a game that I think maybe only Aviv has in the world. maybe there are a few others, but it is definitely a skill set that you don't really see it around.
How much time did y'all spend as part of the production? And you had experience with it from doing up to 4 players, obviously. How did you figure out the balance that you wanted to strike with how much rules conversation does there need to be? How much actual game conversation does there need to be? Because there's very few moments, even in the beginning, where it's just sort of the GM talking at the players. There's very specific moments and it makes sense, but it's 1 or 2 panels at most. And then you're kind of right into it and everybody's moving.
That's really interesting because that is Eran's GMing style to a T, especially when introducing new players to a game. You never have him explaining the whole rule system as we're sitting down at the table. No one would stay here for that. No one would stay awake for that. We get like a few key phrases, a few key rules that we have to have so we can start playing, and then we dive into a scene or the action, or tell us who your characters are. And then whenever a rule needs to be applied, whenever we need to do something that we haven't covered yet, that's when he stops and explains what needs to happen and points it out in the character sheet and everything around that. And that is fantastic for getting new people to learn how to play games, and that is fantastic for getting readers to enjoy a comic without having to first read like an actual rule book for a system, which is definitely not what we wanted. How we decided to do that is
so even beyond that, just generally to answer your more general question, not specifically writing rules. There's this thing when I write a thing, and then Aviv leaves a comment that says, "Let's do it in graphics. Let's show it instead of having writing." And then she's right. Let's do that. And that's I think at the beginning I need to get a lot of those, but over the years I think I got a lot better in, generally speaking, if you can show it. And including when players are speaking character, it's almost always we show the in-world thing happening.
Mm.
And I became, I think, very specific about when people speak in the real world. Nadav, for example, the GM, only speaks when it's good for tension. So if we finished the previous page in-world in a very high point, but we also now need to start a fight or something, so we need to speak a bit about the administration around it, or we need to speak a bit about what the players are thinking about the situation. So we'll show a panel, or maybe two, of Nadav now saying what's going on, and the players reacting, and then we're back into the fight. We're actually starting the fight. But these pauses are really great for tension, for the pacing. The fact that I could switch between those two, that's great. That's great. I think we can also see how at the beginning we were less clear about how to actually do it. And as the chapters grew more complex, also, it became very natural. I think that the last one is so natural that players, hopefully even at the beginning, the reader will not become too discombobulated by seeing the player and then the character in two different panels, one after the other. We were pretty gentle with it at the beginning. But I think that in a few, hopefully again, in a chapter or two, it's so natural that they just swim through it, I hope. As to how to explain the rules, generally speaking, there's a spreadsheet. So you really need to cut it down to tiny little bits, and what we explain now, what we explain now, what we explain now, and how we explain it, how many pages we will devote to explaining it, and what we will only explain in the future, maybe. And that was work. That was work. Yes.
It makes sense to have. I can see the benefit of having the sort of chart of rules of saying, okay, we've explained this part in this chapter, and since it's sequential, you're like, well, they better have read this chapter before, and so we don't have to cover this again. We don't have to cover this again. We don't.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
That's almost exactly what I started doing when I taught Pathfinder Society for almost a decade.
Hey, are you still playing?
No, I haven't for years, sadly. Okay. It was a great time though. I talk about it fondly. I still love Paizo in the game. But I spent a good number of hours and days, so many days, at conventions teaching people Pathfinder Society and saying like, okay, we'd go to conventions, we'd have tables and we were just like, do you want to learn Pathfinder? Come on. And I spent so many, it's that thing where when you do it enough, you start to learn. Here's what I got to say. Here's what they need to know. Here's where, and you're running the same adventure. And I would have characters on the table. because I was like, you don't need to pick a character, whatever. It's whatever character. Because if your eyes are drawn to something, that's where you're going to sit, and that's your character, and then we can move from there. And I would always tell people, I'm like, don't look at your character sheet. Like, just like have it be there, but we're going to talk about what's happening. You know, we're going to talk about your character in non-specific terms because I'm talking to you as a person. And then we're going to talk about the adventure. And then when we get to you need to do something, we'll all do that together. And I think it's so incredibly difficult to teach rules for a TTRPG in a way that is just like you said, Aviv, just like, all right, here's the book. Just, call me when you get to page 57. And then we can, when you get to picking your attributes, we'll come back, start reading the comic.
Yeah. Especially true for people who have not played before. Maybe they're completely new to the hobby. And then it means nothing to them to put a number next to strength. What does that mean? Mm-hmm. What do I do with it? But as soon as you start and there's actual dice rolling and the strength means something for the imaginary story that we're all telling together, then it clicks together much better.
In Legend in the Mist, we are starting the book with a comic. Choose your own adventure comic that teaches you the rules. Step by step.
I have seen this comic.
Hey.
I will admit, I was initially very overwhelmed because I wasn't expecting it. And it was one of those things where I started reading and I was like, and I got to a page that was a lot of words and I went, wait, what's happening now? Wait, what am I? I've just kind of been looking and now I'm
It's not for browsing.
No, it was not for, oh, what's going on? Let's look at this.
No,
it's very, God, it's all of the games from Son of Oak, not to have a weird non sequitur. The art is just so grabbing in such a way.
Incredible.
It's the fun of so many TTRPG projects where they, you get the final thing and you're like, how did you do this? How did you put this together? How did this occur from when there was nothing and now there's this?
I wish more people were asking this question. I think that the fact that you are where you are, hosting this podcast, inviting people, you're excited about this, you ask this question, but I think that most people do not. And that's a shame.
I told a story not too long ago where, when I was getting into TTRPGs, I didn't really consider how the sausage was made. You know what I mean? You're like, oh yeah, there's a book. Okay, cool. There's the rules, whatever. And it was only after a little while, once I met a couple people that did it, where I was like, wait a minute. All of this, and it sounds silly to say out loud, but it was like, wait a minute. All of this art came from somebody. All of this writing came from a different person. And then there was another person that put it all together and then it's like, and then the more you learn about the process, you realize how many people are involved in the entire thing. And then you take it a step further to realize, oh, this book, okay, it's like, okay, so this is Apocalypse World. Okay, there's this many people involved. Okay, this is Pathfinder. There's this many people involved. There's fundamentally more people involved. And then you start to think about like, well, what do all those people do? How did all those people do this thing? How did they learn to do that? What made them start? And that's how we have the podcast. Because I did that. I had those thoughts for years and I went insane and now I have the podcast. Completely left shift, non sequitur because I want to. We made a joke. I might cut it out. Eran, I want to know about all of the games on your shelf.
Okay.
I want to know about all the games.
So you don't see all of them. There are a few to the side as well. But including all of the City of Mist and everything that I've translated, everything that I should show you is over here and you can see.
Those are the secret games. Those are...
They shouldn't be secret at the time. Very generally, very quickly, Pathfinder, over there. Here's the starter box, the great starter box. My dice, with the new dice bag, Aviv, you're going to see it soon.
Ooh.
The new dice bag, replacing the
Cthulhu
old
one?
No, it's replacing the Beholder one. There used to be a
Beholder one, not Cthulhu. Yes.
Over there, it's Goodman Games, DCC RPG, and many other stuff that they have. Over here is more Pathfinder. This is Pathfinder 3rd edition.
I recognize those little adventure path spines.
Yeah. Including Hell's Rebels, which I'm definitely going to run again someday. It's really great. I love it. Over there is a mishmash of several stuff, including several 2D20s from Odysseus and Band of Blades and Mistborn, which is great, and Rain, which is very interesting. And over there is the D&D 5 stuff and the advanced D&D 5 stuff from EN World. They did Level Up, right? That's what it's called. Over there, right beneath is, you don't see it, so never mind.
Over there.
I can keep going, but over there it's the more esoteric stuff and 13th Age First Edition of Adventures in Middle Earth, the D&D 5 version of the One Ring. It's so good. I have all of the books. I've read a lot of it. It's great. I love everything about it. Some Shadowrun, Age of the Empire, Genesis, Legend of the Five Rings. All of them use the same general FFG weird dice system. Fantasy, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay at the bottom, which Aviv loves and I love, and it's great. Third edition, a bit of fourth edition.
Hey, wait a minute. Third edition? Yeah? That's the good one.
That's
third
the good
edition
one.
is the good
third
one.
Edition is the good. I was just talking to my friend about third edition.
We love it so much that I am sure I'm going to run some more Warhammer in the future, and it's going to be third edition. Oh, maybe not, because apparently the old world, the new one, is really good. It's surprisingly good. I really enjoyed reading it, and I enjoyed imagining what sort of situations it will come. It can bring about, and I like it. So maybe I'll run it. We'll see in the future. And also some Paranoia, the second best system ever. And next to it, Earthdawn, the best system ever. Specifically third edition, which I think is probably the best.
All of those are close to the floor, so that if they fall, nothing bad will happen.
Yes, but if we get flooded,
Consideration
about it. Yes.
Aviv, tell us about your plants. Just no.
So these are all fake IKEA plants, which I love.
Perfect.
And my house is full of them.
Perfect.
The end.
Awesome. Yeah. Amazing. There are a number of real plants around my house that my wife is constantly upkeeping. I like your plan a little better.
They're green and I don't have to water them.
And this great big poster is art by Aviv. You might, I mean, it's a bit hard to tell right now because of the reflection, but it's a goblin. It's a great big goblin that Aviv made based on a character that I wrote literally 25 years ago.
It looks like a goblin wearing Jinko jeans.
It is a goblin wearing jeans. I mean, it's an overall. It's a Paranoia overall, but yeah, for complicated reasons.
We've been friends for so long.
We have been friends for so long.
It's no surprise that you continue to just make things together, huh?
Yeah, it works.
It feels like you've cracked the code on it. It's a thing. It's come up a few times of just once you find someone that you like working with and works well together, it's like, oh well, there we go.
Yep,
we're good.
Definitely.
And it's so difficult to walk alone. It's so difficult.
Have you had any solo projects? Like obviously, Aviv, you have your own comics and illustration work or anything. Is there a time where you're like working with somebody, you're like, this was on, this would be easier? For legal reasons, no, different. But also
for legal reasons, it's all great. No. I think the way we work together has been so different because it's a webcomic, which means we draw every page basically a week before it's up. So it's an ongoing project. It's never like I get a 20-page script and basically no contact with a writer and I just work on it, because that's how most of my work nowadays is with Dark Horse. I get a script, I have questions, so the editor sends my questions to the writer or to whoever, and there's no real direct contact. And I know that not all comic work happens this way. Sometimes there's definitely more communication between the different parties, but it's very much an isolated I'm getting a thing, I'm doing it, and I'm giving it to the next person in line. So working with Eran has been very different because we talk every day. We went through, the script was never just one and done. He just sends me a thing and this is what it's going to be. It was always a conversation, a dialogue.
And
sometimes
on occasion, it wasn't delivered in time as well. That's also,
that happens.
also a thing.
That happens. So yeah, very different. Also, we have been friends for decades. So it's a friendship first and a work relationship second. So yeah, definitely the best working partner I've had, for sure.
Same.
It's it's fine.
Yeah, maybe top 10.
All this effusive praise. It's it's good.
Yep. So we started Crystal Heart as a webcomic, and we developed this setting as we went, as the story progressed. And then we said, hey, this is a cool setting. We're going to make it into a Savage World setting. And we kickstarted that in 2018, sometime.
I think 18, yes, I think.
And now it's a setting for Savage Worlds that you can play, and we're very proud of it.
Yes.
I think it turned out fantastic.
And
it's funny that it comes up in the comics sometimes. Now that the book exists, the characters
can reference the rules.
They can reference the rules.
The characters have the book that technically is them.
Yeah, exactly.
There is a point where we
do
a rules lawyer joke that is about conflicting rules. There are two places in the book that say two different things about the same topic, and the rule lawyer brings it up verbatim as it is in the book.
Yeah. And the character actually takes the book out and reads from it. So yes, very much collapsing universes, black hole of comics. So that's out there. So if you want to play in the world of Crystal Heart, you can do that.
So that's the Crystal Heart box set, right? Is the Savage Worlds book, and then the graphic novel, and then the annotated blog companion. And then you have all three. You have the whole experience.
Well, actually, there are like by now 10 PDFs also of one-shots and expansions and even VTT miniatures that you can download.
And we have action and adventure cards, which we're very happy about. And we have action and
adventure cards, right? Correct.
It's got to be fun to like make a thing. And then, like, you know what we could do? We could make we made the comic. Oh, you know what we could do? We could make the setting. Do you know what we could do?
Yep.
We could make that. Do you know what we could do? And then that's forever. So you just do that forever.
I don't really remember how it came about that we decided to actually do it. We talked about it, obviously, for a while, but we actually did it not even, maybe 2 years into the webcomic, something like that.
Maybe.
We made sure that there was, an action audience that is looking and waiting for it. The Kickstarter was great. It worked great. I think it was like £26,000 or something, which is great. It's great. It's still great to this day. It's a great number. But we, in no way ever, we could have done it without Amit Moshe of Sunfolk, who was our producer for this. And neither of us are even starting to think about Kickstarters this size. I did some small Kickstarters, and by small I mean small. I think my biggest one was probably £3,000 or something like that, with I want to say 80 people, maybe I don't remember, maybe 100, something like that. And we could never imagine something this size and scale if not for Amit.
Yeah, I was just basically on an extended panic attack from about 4 months before we started the Kickstarter to maybe a month after we finished shipping the book to everyone. And I'm feeling it again now that I'm trying to think about doing it without Amit. No, he was really amazing, from planning the whole thing to executing. To helping us with shipping and with printing. we did the thing. We could have maybe like produced a PDF to send to our friends if like we did it on our own, but he made it a project. He made it a book that actually existed in the physical world, and we're very, very grateful to him for that.
Which again just adds the point that there are at least 3 different skills in being an indie publisher, which is the creative, the marketing, and the administrative/production.
Yep.
And there are different skill sets.
Yeah.
And that sucks. But that's life.
Yeah. When I was talking with George, we had an extended conversation about Kickstarter and production and over promising and all of that. And I think it's very, very easy for someone to overshoot, especially on their first thing, if they're not very familiar with it, if they don't have any experience with it, to just be like, we can do a box set of the setting and the comic. Yeah, that's super easy. We can absolutely do that. And then 7 months after go, oh, it's not easy at all. Oh no. It's actually
I don't get it. I understand why it can be easy for some people, but Aviv and I don't think would ever in a million years would imagine offering this without first making sure that we check and how this can be done and etc.
Yeah. It's a thing that seems simple in your mind, right? Of like, okay, I got 2 books and I need a box and I need to put the 2 books in the box and there we go. It's like, no, because each of those books is coming from a different place and that box is coming from a third place. And then all of them need to come to another place.
Yeah. And then there's 400 of these at least. And it's fun to do one. It's fun to
some
do
of
5.
them are actually premium.
Yeah.
So there are actually 2 different versions, and some of them come with the first volume of the comics as well. But some of them come with first and second volume of the comics. I need to track all of those and print the.
Thank goodness for spreadsheets is all I'm saying.
That was exactly my thought. I was like, well, that's when you start a spreadsheet.
Yep.
Export. So what's the fun question always, what's next for Crystal Hearts? What's next for up to 4 players?
Well, we know that once Crystal Heart is out in November, that's it for Crystal Heart, generally speaking. I'm also working on the last PDF expansion for the book. It's called Living in Sin, and it's about... we made sure, we worked pretty hard to make sure that the book, the RPG book, does not actually reference the comics. It references the world, but not what is going on in the comics. And we wanted to allow the people at home to play whatever Crystal Heart world they want, not necessarily the one that appears in the comic. Not necessarily, there's going to be a secret origin for crystals, there's going to be a secret origin for sin, but they don't have to be the ones that we had in the comics. So we offer several options in the book, and we offer, we don't even reference the characters that appear in the comic in the book at any point. But we always knew that one day we will want to address this at some point. So Living in Sin is about the actual, here's the rules explanation of what's going on in the comic. And that's going to be fun. That's pretty fun. And that's it. That will be Crystal Heart, the end. And what after that, Aviv? Generally speaking, we said we don't know. Let's wait for this to end. Really, it's to a webcomic a page once a week is so much work for Aviv. It's so I'm saying for Aviv because it's especially obviously for the artist so much work, and such a commitment. And nowadays, she wasn't a regular a comic artist working, full weekly hours when we started, or not even where we ended. She became what she is today over the past year and a half or something. Ever since, about when we ended this. So it seems unlikely that, Aviv, correct me if I'm wrong, that you can do anything similar to this in the future. So
it's hard to imagine a full page every week in that same
We want to do
maybe.
something, yes, but we need to sit down and think. But even to get the energy, the creative energy to say, okay, let's sit down and think, we have to know that Crystal Heart is behind us, I think. because obviously we haven't done it so far. So we need to end this before we can start something new.
Mm-hmm. And that makes a lot of sense, especially like you said, with a completely different time commitment that you can have, and having this project like almost done but kind of not. It's like between those two things, that's totally understandable to say like, well, we'll figure that out. We'll figure out what's next with 5 seconds before we have the energy to do it.
Yeah, basically.
Would you be open to the idea of doing something straight to graphic novel? Would you want to stay with a web comic style release? Are there any like guidelines that you have in your mind of like, these are the way I would want to do these sorts of things in the future?
I think it would be really hard to do something that is not a webcomic, that is not like
Yes.
from us to the reader within a week or two.
Yes.
Partially because that's what I do now. I work on a thing for months, and then I wait months until anyone sees it, and it is such a weird experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it is now out. It's hard to like to put the pieces of emotion together of like, I remember how I felt finishing this, and I need to re-energize these feelings now that it's out, and I need to be excited about it. It's weird. And also just the connection with the readers that we had with Crystal Heart and with Up to 4 Players was crucial for our motivation to work on it.
We were never paid, right? It wasn't a job.
Mm-hmm.
We got some, I want to say, donations through our Patreon. People who are still technically, there are still, I think maybe 80 remained or something. Many people left, obviously, now that we no longer do anything. But we also paused it. So we don't take money now because we don't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
But during the run of the webcomic, we had a Patreon going on, and people would give money, and we made some money out of it. Not, more than a coffee, but generally speaking, about enough to print stuff or go to conventions or stuff like that we wanted to do. Getting feedback was the main motivation, therefore.
Yeah.
It was so important.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be so important going forward, yes.
Yeah, and that's how you build a community as well. It's so much harder to release a book once every year and a half. I don't know how long it's going to take us if we do it on our off time, and then hope that all those people will stay with us and wait for the next one 2 years from now. So that just the community that we build around Crystal Heart is so heartwarming, and I think we owe them so much.
Yes, we do.
It was delightful to put up a new page and see people in the comments and in the Discord talking about their theories and expressing their like surprise and excitement about things that maybe they saw coming or maybe they didn't see coming. And that is a huge part of how we were able to keep this going for 7 years. And also, I think why it ended up so good. There were several points in the story where we got some feedback from the readers, and we took that to heart because maybe something wasn't as clear as we thought it was, or maybe something needed further explanation, or maybe actually let's take this a different direction than we thought of or anticipated. And the project grew along with the audience. And I think that's really special for webcomic, and I love that.
Agreed.
Sounds like actual play. I don't know. It's
yeah.
And I don't know. I think people would wait around 2 years for a book, because what I've heard is people on EN World are waiting all of 2025 for a book that's coming in 2026. So
true.
They're more excited for the 2026 book than a book that's coming out tomorrow. So I don't know. Maybe
the only thing I know I don't know to say for sure, but that I would like to is to quite probably do another role-playing thing with the same 4 main characters, because they work well. We know them. We know how to draw them. People love them. I like them. They don't really matter. It's funny, but in some sense, it doesn't matter they're the tools to create instances of emotion and tension in whatever actual role-playing game we decide to use eventually. So yeah, I think it makes sense to keep them around.
Yeah, it's curious to consider, especially with like, okay, this thing is done, and you're in a very different place to say, well, maybe we do something different. But I think it's exciting to say like, no, this is what we like to do. This is what we've done for however long. We're just gonna keep doing that.
Yeah, and it's about exploring exactly what it is, because we're not going to make a carbon copy of Crystal Heart, just a different system. It's going to be a bit different, but the things we enjoy and the things we enjoy working on have not changed this much in 7 years. We're still the same people. We're still the same creators. So yeah, it's probably not going to be massively different, but also not precisely the same. And also I have no idea what it's going to be. And we don't know.
We need to think about it once.
It's that fun thing where it's like, it's not going to be the same. Actually, 6 months later, we decided Crystal Heart 2.
Actually, it's the same. Yeah.
Actually, I lied. Oops. The fun of like, make it. What do you think you're gonna say in this decision in 2 months? I don't know, man.
What am I gonna say in 10 minutes? Who knows?
I ask my wife that sometimes when we have like, I'll finish stuff and she'll have lunch and I'll be like, do you know what you want to like get up to tonight? Do you know what you want to do? And she'll be like, I don't know.
That's the one thing that I do. Like, roughly when I wake up in the morning, I'm already thinking about what I'm going to have for dinner and lunch. That is the one like area of my life where I'm very plan ahead. I need to know.
Yeah. The first thing I did when I woke up this morning was I messaged my friends, because it's Friday, and Fridays when we get together to play video games. And I'm like, hey, what do people want to do tonight? Do we have ideas? First thing right away, I'm like, let's talk about it. Let's start planning. We sadly had to, 2 years ago, we had to move out of our home state because Florida is very expensive now. And so we live in a new area, and we haven't had the opportunity to get in with new people playing TTRPGs, to my great sadness. So we're working on it. We just went to a new game store to play the Digimon card game because I'm a nerd. If you couldn't tell, if you didn't know,
very good.
Is it close to where you live?
It is 45 minutes away, which is not that close. But so this was a whole discussion. So my wife is very particular about the game stores that she goes to. Like I mentioned, I did Pathfinder Society for however long. And in that time, I dragged her to a lot of different game stores. And we had a lot of conversations about the good and bad things about different game stores.
Interesting.
And so
that's a webcomic right there.
Oh, let me tell you. Hi, if you run a game store, like a physical store that people come to play games, talk to a woman about coming to your game store and just kind of see what they think about it. Just it'd be great. Let me tell you, you'll get a lot of feedback. So we went to one that was closer to us because the people that make the card game are great. They have a little app and they'll be like, here are the stores that are running events near you. And I'm like, great. So we went to that one, and that one was fine. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was fine. It was acceptable. And it was like, okay, this is where we have to go. If this is the thing we want to do, this is fine. And then this past weekend, we went to the one that's 45 minutes away, which is a much bigger investment. That store is great. And the people there are great. And it's like,
interesting.
Yeah. And it's that fun investment of, do we want to invest the time for a better experience? Spoiler, the answer is yes. She said that she would be fine with that. But I think it's a very fun arithmetic we've had to do because we're very, very lucky. Despite being in a smaller city, when we moved here, the first thing we did was go to the local game stores and like, what are y'all doing? What does this look like?
So on that, I think maybe the third strip from up to 4 players is So up to 4 players starts with Nadav and Lily are living in London, and Rotem and Guy are now moving to London to join them. And yay, we finally can play all the games that are up to 4 players. And one of the first strips is Nadav showing Rotem how they decided to live where they live. And they go down the stairs, and the last panel is basically the game store is literally near, like the next door down to their house. And that's kind of a joke based in reality, because when Eran and his wife decided where they wanted to live in London, they specifically they targeted leisure games, which is a lovely, very old, like they're celebrating 40 years, I think.
40 years.
Wow.
Yeah. In Finchley in North London. And that's where they settled. Last year, my husband and I moved here as well. We're both 10 minutes away from this game store. And we have a friend who moved to London from South Africa and didn't know where she was going to live, but she read up to 4 players at the time. And she's a big old nerd like all of us. And she based her decision of where to live on that strip, and she chose leisure games as well, and that's how Eran met her, and eventually how I met her. So yeah, game stores.
So wait, so before meeting either of you, she had read the strip, and come to that. That's great. That's fun.
Very great. Yeah, it's a good story.
I like that. Yep. I like that. Yeah, we did not make that decision on the game store. We lucked out that we made the decision based on other things, and then we're like, oh, what's going on? Oh, we have an incredible game store. And then we looked around, and it's like, oh, there's another really good game store. And oh, if we drive a little bit farther, there's another really good game store.
Fantastic.
USA.
It's weird. That's why, like,
the US is weird.
We could just take that, and we can just, that's just a true statement. Yeah. It's really funny talking to people from even just different parts of the country in the US, where I'm like, yeah, this store's 45 minutes away. And some people go, huh. And some people go, ugh. Because we're both from Florida. And I'm like 45 minutes. I mean, it's like it's a bit, but it's not like, it's fine. And then I talked to some other people, and they're like, 45 minutes.
When you say 45 minutes, you mean a 45-minute drive, right?
Yeah, 45-minute drive. Yeah.
Yeah.
If they don't have anything else.
Yeah, if I was walking 45 minutes, I would just be dead. I would just I would simply be dead.
He doesn't even consider public transport.
Yeah.
Oh no, I wish. Oh God.
Well, there wouldn't be any.
I wish. How I would long to take a bus.
Yes.
I would pine for a light rail.
Yeah, truly the privilege of living where we live in London is just...
Yeah.
Let's dive into homework. First, before, because I always do this, thank y'all for being on. This is great. This has been so much fun.
It's been great.
I'll usually say this like 6 times, so that's one. Get ready for it. So let's dive into homework. So for people who don't know, if this is somehow your first episode, homework is where I ask the guests to bring a couple things that they're excited about, stuff that they've been playing or watching, reading, what have you, that they're really excited about, that they want to share, because the whole point of the podcast is things that I'm really excited about that I want to share. So we started introductions with Aviv, so let's start homework with Eran. Eran, what do you have for us for homework?
Aviv, can I have dropout?
Yeah, go for it.
Or do you? Yes.
No, it's both of us, but you can
both
do
of us. So
yes.
I start with dropout, but I have another thing out of the world as well. So dropout is a subscription service. It's a streaming service that is the best $6, $7, I don't know, per month that you can spend.
It might be $7, but even $7.
It's absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth it. It's a steal. Every show they do is mwah. And it's a bit difficult to explain what's so great about them. But in essence, it's sort of like this podcast. It's people who are very excited, very enthusiastic to create, to do interesting stuff, to entertain. They want to do it with other people like them. They want to share in the bounty and the greatness of the joy, or in specifically in Dropbox case, it's humor, right? They're about humor, but not necessarily, because they also have like Dimension 20, which is, I mean, it's funny, but it's not. I don't know. Is it humorous? I don't know, but it's the best actual play in the world. And they have Game Changer, which is one of the most entertaining things of the decade, perhaps. And even other stuff I really like. I like Gastronauts. I even like Dirty Laundry. I know that Aviv is not into it, but I enjoy Dirty Laundry. I love everything that they do. I watch, and it's always time well spent.
I think the funny thing about Dropout is even if all you watch is Dimension 20, you get your $7
Still worth it.
And if
sure.
you don't watch Dimension 20, you still get your $7 worth. Like there's so much, they do so much for Dimension 20 and so much that's not Dimension 20 that they've been growing the last couple of years. It's been amazing every little bit where they introduce a new show or a new idea, or even there was a great interview with Sam Reich where he was talking to Sam, and Sam was like, we never really cancel anything because we're not beholden by a network. So, you know, we don't have the sort of network contracts where we need exclusivity. So we never really cancel anything because we also don't really need to end it in that way. Like maybe we retool it and we come back to it or something like that. And so they have this energy. Like with Gastronauts, I was so excited to see that Gastronauts got a second season because it didn't feel like, it felt like maybe it couldn't, you know what I mean? It felt like one of those things I was like, maybe it just didn't hit enough that it wasn't worth the investment. But it was such a great show, and I'm so glad to see it that, you know, it's you get so much for your money in a way that feels ridiculous. And
also there's the feeling of you know that your money is going to the people who are making this stuff, not to some rich CEO or to the money people behind the scenes or whatever. It's literally going to these people. They are profit sharing with everyone that they're working with. It's just a good company, and that is so refreshing to see. And I hope they last forever.
Jenna Stuber, who people might know from Polygon, the website, when she worked for the video production team there, I think she consulted on a couple episodes or like helped write a couple episodes, something like that. She had a very like small focused involvement. Because of the profit sharing, she said that she got a check that's more than she ever made in an entire year working at Polygon.
Wow.
Which I think is one of those things where you go like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Like they share their success with the people who contribute to that success. And like, this is just how this should work.
Yeah. It feels weird that it works, but when you say it like that, it's like, yeah, everyone is involved in why it's successful. And then all of the people you're like, oh yeah, yes, of course that's how it should work. And then what was your second one, Eran?
Should it be a show or should it be something that's a play?
Por qué no los dos? Why not both?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
okay, so
whatever you want.
Should I really recommend this? Yeah, sure, why not? Okay, so because it's not great, but it's fun. It's like I have a Notion in which I track everything that I watch or every entertainment that I consume, and I give it some ranking and a short summary. So I'm looking at it now, and I gave it 3 out of 5. Okay, it's not the best, but I enjoyed myself and I watched it in the background. It's called Fubar. It's on Netflix.
Okay,
it's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay, great start.
As a CIA agent, who starts to work with his daughter, who is also a CIA agent. None of them knew about each other, and they now have to work together. And it's nice. It's nice.
It's nice.
It's exactly. I said it's absolutely adequate. Entertaining, high-action spy shenanigans with lots of humor and fun twists. And they have only 2 seasons. They don't need more than that. It's fine. Do it. Watch it. Okay. What we call a background watch. There's no reason.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I don't hate the idea of something that's like just like this was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of game, I play all sorts of games, but instead of games, I want to instead, now I see it in front of me, recommend a book. It's not a book because I don't think you can find it in book. You can find it on Project Gutenberg. It's really, really old. It's called The Willows. I think it's technically a short story, but I'm not sure. It's by Algernon Blackwood, and he was one of the inspirations for Lovecraft at the time. I mean, it's pre-Lovecraft.
Mhm.
And The Willows is, as I said, creepy through sheer description of nature and a person's mindset.
Oh.
It's about two people who are going to Aviv, how would you say a shite?
A cruise?
It's not. It's only two of them on a boat. Two people on the boat.
Two people on boat. Yeah.
Okay, so there are two people on
They're
the
going
boat
boating.
who
Boating.
they go boating on the Danube, and they get stuck on an island. And it's one evening, maybe 2 evenings on that island, and it's terrifying. And it's not completely clear why, or if anything is actually happening.
Mm.
It's a good read. It's a good read. You can see where it influenced Lovecraft in what points. The Willows.
That sounds interesting. Focusing on, I imagine it focuses on their interiority a lot, and that sounds like an interesting read.
There are some very good. I wrote them down. I don't know where right now, but I wrote down some of the sort of unique phrasings that they use there. It's good. Should read it again. I think it's good. I like it.
All right, Aviv.
So I want to recommend a webcomic that has kind of been our sibling webcomic for a long time.
Oh,
they're
yes.
called Semi Co-op. It's a board game webcomic. They're funny. They're wonderful. It's by Rachel and Heinze, which I think is how you pronounce their names. They're Dutch. And they've been going such a long time. They started maybe a little bit after Up to 4 Players started, but they're still ongoing, still doing.
They never betrayed board games.
Yeah. They've stayed true. They have lots to say about board games. They have videos as well. Like they do some recommendations of board games. They show what they play and things like that. And they also focus on the webcomic, which is wonderful. Semi-co-op.
Sure.
You'll find it. Just search for it. And we like them a lot. And another comic, I was very, very focused here. When we started, when we talked about, when we started selling Crystal Heart to publishers, I had a look around to see what other kind of comics are out there that do this tabletop RPG that is both around the table and in world. And The Last Session by Jasmine Walls, Dozer Draws, and Micah Myers is a lovely, lovely example of it. It's kind of more about the drama of the people playing the game, and the what's happening in the game is more reflects that rather than like tells a story that is like the main focus of the thing. But it is a lovely like coming of age story about friendship, about starting playing with a new group or ending the group that you've played with for a long time. The art is magnificent. It's a really lovely read. And they're coming up with a second book soon. So if you read the first one and enjoyed it, definitely recommend pre-ordering the next one. It's called The Last Session. Another quick one. My husband and I love playing puzzle video games together. The last one we played was Blueprints. Go ahead and look for that. That's not the one I'm recommending for various reasons, although it was absolutely amazing. What I am recommending is a much gentler, smaller, lovely experience called The Case of the Golden Idol, or The Rise of the Golden Idol, which is the part 2 of that same game it also has a bunch of little downloadable content for extra adventures. It's a really clever detective games where you kind of you see a scene and you need to build what exactly happened in the scene with words and objects that you find around, and it's just such a wonderful deduction game that gives you just enough
Really
to
clever.
make you feel really clever when you solve it, and it's a really interesting story and setting, and really delightful to do together as a couple or with friends. So I highly recommend that.
I'm really excited to play Case of the Golden Idol, specifically with my partner. We've been talking about it lately.
Yes.
You really should.
Because for my homework, as I decided on while Aviv was talking, my homework is blueprints. Because Eran and I hit 101 hours last night.
Yep. Nice.
And
what day are you?
We're on day 115. I want to say.
Nice. Yeah.
I think I've said this like multiple places. I think I've said this on a previous episode of the podcast. This is going to be my game of the year unless something wild happens. I have not felt as many different things playing this game as I have playing any other game in my life.
Interesting.
It is such a weird, unique, and interesting like game and narrative and experience like of playing a game. Like I heartily recommend playing this with a friend or multiple friends or your partner or whoever. Like this game is so this is the video game version of an escape room where could you do it yourself? Yeah, you will absolutely have a better time if you do it with 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people.
100%.
Yeah, like it is one of the few times I've seen a game and just been like, you need to play this with multiple people.
Yes.
We've started watching other people play it. We have obviously I have friends who are streamers, but we've been watching another couple who stream play it, and she has had the greatest RNG I've ever seen. Like it is incredible the things that have happened. And I'm really excited for the end of the year when we hit the point where everyone who's played Blueprints has played it, and we can start.
And now we can talk about it.
And we can talk about it, and we can talk about it at a high level, and we can talk about it at a narrative level. You know, we can move past the mechanical and talk about it as a package, because I think it is a very unique masterpiece of a game. Like I said that this morning to somebody, and I was like, it feels right. Like this feels like this generation's missed for all of the quality and like for all of the good and the bad. I think this is this.
I disagree. Here's my tepid take. I think there's an issue that the game doesn't actually end. And I think unless you completely, absolutely commit, and then you get to as far as I know, an unsatisfying end. And I think that's an issue with the game.
I don't disagree.
Will make it, and I think it won't be missed because I don't think in 2 years we'll remember it. I
don't know if I agree with that. I agree with. Yeah, we'll have to see. I do agree. I think one of the things with the game. Hey, if you're playing Blueprints, just skip the next couple minutes. I'm not going to get too spoilery, but just like skip a couple minutes. I think one of the sort of really good strengths of the game, one of the things that I think has kept me coming back and playing for 101 hours and continually talk. There have been 2 separate times over the last month that I've gone. I think we're coming up on the end of when we're going to play Blueprints. I think we're coming to an end, and then it'll be the next week, and I'll tell my friends how we played Blueprints all weekend.
We had exactly the same conversation with Eran. It is like literally.
Like I think we're coming up to an end, and then it's like we played for 10 hours this weekend. Oh my god.
Yeah. So there's this whole other place we weren't even aware was a thing, and we found it, and now we need to sort it out.
As a narrative designer, I see an issue with the lack of an ending. I think that while this is great for tension rising, tension lowering, tension rising, without an end, I really think we will have a problem remembering this game.
I agree with you about the ending. I think that's my big, and we'll see when we get to the end. But as I see it now, I don't think it's going to change. I do think there is, for all of the inventiveness and all of the depth and all of the layers, I do think there is a bit of, I don't even know how to describe it. It comes over very video game in a way that puzzle games generally don't, where puzzle games are like, you solve the puzzles, the end. And Blueprints just says like, one more day. And I hope we're still talking about it in 2 years, because I don't think puzzle games generally make this kind of splash. Like people are already not talking about Lorelei and the laser eyes, and that was incredible. And I wish more people had talked about it when it came out. And so I hope Blueprints persists to make puzzle games more of the conversation about games. But we'll have to see. But yeah, Blueprint spoilers over. I'll make a chapter break or something. Blueprints, it's great. Even if you don't fully enjoy puzzle games, I think playing it with a couple people, making it a community event. I think it is. Yeah. It is a video game that is worth experiencing and exploring, especially as a group.
100%.
100%.
It was very funny where I was like, I had in my brain, I was like, I'll talk about Blueprints. Yeah, I can't talk about Devil's Plan again. That was last time. And then you're like, I'm not going to recommend Blueprints. And I was like, well, that'll make this part funny.
Yeah, no, it was an incredible experience. And once again, if you have a puzzle game that you enjoy, try playing it with your spouse or friend. It just makes it so. We the first time we tried it was with Obra Dinn, which we each started playing separately. And it was really interesting and it was cool. And then we said, hey, maybe we work together to solve some of the stuff. And it just, like, the way two pairs of eyes can spot more things than just one pair of eyes, and talking about a problem to solve it is
part of the experience.
Yeah.
It's part of the experience.
Yep. It adds,
and it's just it's a fun couple thing to do.
It adds a layer to the experience, which is really enjoyable. A thing that I talk a lot about, small segue, I talk about video game accessibility a lot on social media. I talk about accessibility as it relates to people with disabilities, difficulty settings, and things like that. And a thing that gets thrown at me as a disagreement a lot is the sort of game experience. And they're like, well, you can't have accessibility in difficulty settings because people experience, you can't, you have to make sure that people experience the game the same way. And I always say, my brother in Christ, there's no way you can ensure I'm like, tell me you don't know anything about game design. I'm like, there is no way you as the designer can ensure that any two people have the same experience playing your game, let alone every single person playing your game.
Yeah.
And
that's a really weird
they're not smart. It's not fine. It's fine. They're not intelligent reactions from these people. Okay. Not to be way too blunt about it, but
it's not a complex, nuanced reply, right? It's not.
They're not. It's the thing I say a lot on social media, where like they're not interested in having a discussion and having a discussion. They're interested in disagreeing. They want to say that I'm wrong, and it doesn't matter how they say that I'm wrong.
Yes.
But so doing puzzle games as a group adds such a wonderful metatextual layer to it, because here's our Blueprints notebook right here, because I have my little stack of books. So Eran has gone through, this is the table of contents for all of the notes pages, because here's all of the notes that we've taken. Sometimes,
well done.
Sometimes we'll be sitting watching TV, and she'll go through and she'll make sure that she has stuff noted. Like this is something separate from the video game and above and like this is good. Like this is the sauce.
Yep, absolutely.
And if a video game can make you do that, that's something. No. Puzzle games with people. It's enjoy. It's like, it makes it a board game, really. Like that's that's kind of the thing at the end of the day. It
yeah.
makes it a board game. You're going through. One of the things I got recommended all the time when I was looking for like games to play with your partner, games to play with your spouse, blah 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 blah. One thing that came up again and again was I think it's Whitechapel Mysteries. It's Sherlock Holmes. And it's
right. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, and what it is you read like a prompt, and it's like any Sherlock story. Sherlock gets a mystery, and he goes like, the game's afoot, and then the game just sort of goes like, all right, solve it, and you get a map of London, and you get like a newspaper. And there's a book of responses. So you could be like, I'm going to go to the butcher's and see what the butcher thinks about this. And you flip through and the butcher goes like, I saw him on Tuesday. And you're like, Tuesday. And then you go through and you try to solve the mystery. And then at the end of the mystery, Sherlock shows up and tells you what a bozo you are because he solved it. He solved it 3 days ago and you're wrong.
Yeah.
But the idea is that it's all of you collectively trying to solve the mystery and then all of you being told that you're a bozo. That makes that experience so exciting and engaging.
Yeah.
We're just going to talk about how good Blueprints is for an hour. I'm sorry. No, we can't do that. That's not this podcast.
That's a different, yeah.
This is the final question. Again, Aviv, Eran, thank you so much for being on. This is amazing. This is such a good time. And thank you for being flexible. I felt like garbage on Monday, so I really appreciate.
Yeah, no. I'm glad you're better today.
I felt so bad in that way that I was just like, maybe I'll feel better. No, I won't.
No, that happens.
So I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that.
Of course.
But the final question, the question nobody knows is coming. This is the 3 question. On the first episode of the podcast, that's how you should feel. Yeah. On the first episode of the podcast, I asked my guest, the wonderful Star, what her top 3 people she would have on her podcast would be. And ever since then, I've asked every guest the same question of just top 3 something that I come up with over the course of the episode. And I think I'm going to have different ones for each of you in a way I haven't done before. Normally it's been the same thing. And for this one, I think it's going to be different ones. Okay. I've got a good one. Eran, what are your top 3 Warhammer 3rd edition classes?
Okay, first of all, they're not classes.
Okay.
Right? So I think they're called careers.
Excuse me. He's right. They're called careers.
Yes. First, and second of all, I don't believe in hierarchy.
I reject your question outright.
I would give you 3. All of them are great. Okay. One is
Ratcatcher.
Ratcatcher. The Ratcatcher, obviously, because the Ratcatcher. First of all, it's such a thing that you don't like. If you come from D&D, you would not. It's a mind-blowing concept that you can play just a freaking Ratcatcher, and that's a legitimate career and an interesting thing to play. And they have a small and vicious dog. Have been throughout every version of the game, and that's great, absolutely great. Second is, of course, a Wizard of the Gold Order. I like all of the orders, but my wife played during our campaign a Wizard of the Gold Order, and the Gold Orders are weird, and they're crazy, and their faces melt to metal and stuff like that, and I love it. So Wizard of Gold Order for sure. And the last one is quite probably a Prophet of Doom. This is like the 3rd rank, I think, of the tree that begins, the profession tree that begins with Flagellant, right? Or is there even one before the Flagellant? Which
Flagellant
is,
was first, I think.
I think it's an incredible career. Yes, you're a Flagellant for Sigmar, and and the Prophet of Doom with their head inside. Put their head inside.
That's the one where it just has the candles, right?
What the hell is going on with you? What's wrong with you? And the player needs to decide to advance the character along this path to become even crazier than the Flagellant. And that tells me so much about the game and the mindsets of that it forces you into as a player when you sit down to play it. And I love it. I love it so much.
It's a good game. I was just talking to a friend of mine about that game, and I was like, I wish we hadn't gotten rid of it. It was good. We broke it all out once at my friend's because my friend had a big game table, and we broke it all out once, and it was too much. It was.
It's a lot, yeah. But it's so good.
Every expansion. I bought every expansion.
I intentionally did the thing you shouldn't do, where I was like, "Here's all of the books, and here's all of the cards, and here's all of the other cards, and here's all of the other cards," and then we just sort of looked at it, and I was like, "Wow,
that is a lot."
Okay, I love that you didn't even have to look. That's what I love. I was like, he'll get up and he'll look. No, you were just like, here we go, boom.
First of all, professional role-playing creator in the role-playing game space, and second, I basically went with many of the things you said as was from our campaign that I still remember very fondly.
No, those are good reasons. Those are good reasons. Yep. Aviv, for you, who are the top 3 comic book writers that you would love to work with?
Oh no, that's the thing. I don't really know comic book writers. I know comic book artists. I love comic book artists.
But that's the thing you do. You can't.
Yeah, no, I would work with them. Okay, I would love to work with.
I'll just cut. I was like, I'll just cut time for searching.
Yeah.
I would like to work with
Zoe Tunnell. I really like Zoe Tunnell.
I love Zoe.
She's lovely. I follow her on Blue Sky, and she's just delightful. And I love what she brings. G. Wheeler Wilson.
Oh yes. Of Ms. Marvel fame.
Of course, yes. I know her from the Hunger and the Dusk, which again I gravitated to because of the artist Chris Wildgoose. Did just a phenomenal job, but I really enjoy the story as well, and I would love to tackle something like this. Beautiful, like epic fantasy with political stuff, really, really cool stuff. And last one, Crowded, it's written by Christopher Sabella, which. Again, honestly, I gravitated to it because of Rothstein and Ted Brandt, the artists. They are amazing, and I love everything they do. But the story is so fun. It's about a crowdsourcing website that lets you hire. It lets you crowdsource an assassination, basically, and one woman is running away from just thousands of people who have been. Want to kill her because they were crowdsourced to do so. And it's funny, it's crazy, it's wild, it's ridiculous, but it's also lovely and beautiful. And I really enjoyed it. So those are my 3. And I recently listened to Anna Hollenrake episode on your podcast, and she talks about post-podcast panic, where after you've been on a podcast and you've given your answers, you suddenly come up with all the better answers that you should have said. So I'm going to go through these in the next 2 weeks, but these are just like top of my head people whose work I love.
Here's what you can do is the ones that you think of, just message me and I'll put them in the show notes.
Oh, fantastic.
Here's all the real answers for the real ones in the show notes.
Sorry, I didn't think about you guys first.
I mentioned it in that episode, but that's such a real thing. Like, even for me, I think that's just a universal experience of like, oh yeah, here's answer. I should have said this. Why didn't I think of this? This is so important to me.
Away? Because you do this on a weekly basis.
No.
Does it not go away at some point?
Not really. No. I think I stress about it less. But I do, okay. I will absolutely in like 2 hours, I'll just be eating. I'm gonna be eating dinner, and I'm gonna go, I should have said this. We should have talked about this. This would have been great. Yep. I think that's just how the cookie. You're like, oh, good. I'll just be anxious.
It's a universal.
You said it like, I'm like, oh, cool. I'll just be anxious about it. Good. Okay, good. It just always happens. Good. Thanks.
Just another thing to be anxious about. Whatever.
Just one more thing.
I don't care. Sure. Okay. I did my best. The end. It's over.
We have a very interesting work dynamic in many ways.
Very different approaches, and I can see maybe why they work well together. Oh, that's very funny. Oh, I love it. But no, that's it. That's the final question. So legally we have to be done because I said it was the last one. So I can't ask any more questions. I can only make definitive statements. Whether you choose to respond to them is your prerogative, but I can only make statements.
Great.
So the statement I will make, first of all, thank you so much for being on the show. It was wonderful to have you. Everyone,
it was great to be here.
Everyone, please go pre-order Crystal Hearts, the graphic novel. Go buy Crystal Hearts, the Savage World supplement. Buy a copy of Savage Worlds also, because it will probably be helpful if you have that also.
Definitely.
I owned a copy of Savage Worlds at one point, and I don't know how I ended up owning it. I just had a copy one day, and then I was like, I don't know.
It happened.
It was funny. I feel like somebody played a prank on me. Like I said, all of the links to everything that we talked about, all of the homework and answers for the 3 questions will be in the show notes, so you can go check those out. The link to pre-order the book and all of everyone's socials, linked to up to 4 players and everybody's websites and all of that will also be in the show notes. The show notes take like 2 hours. I don't know if anybody knows, because what I do is when I listen back for editing, I also just write it down for the show notes. That's amazing. A long time. I used to do it. I used to do it twice, and then I realized just do it once. I used to listen back to edit and then listen back for the show notes. And then one day I just went, why am I doing this? Why am I doing it this way? So yeah, please go use the show notes. But that's going to be it. Aviv, Eran, go ahead and say bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
And that's the podcast. I want to thank Aviv and Eran so much for making time for the interview. They're over in the UK, and the time difference sometimes can be really tricky. So I really appreciate them making the effort. Like I said in the interview, all of the links will be in the show notes. You can go pre-order your own copy of Crystal Hearts. As I said, all the links will be in the show notes, so you can go pre-order your own copy of Crystal Hearts and maybe check out the rest of Up to 4 Players and what they're working on. I want to apologize for the delay of episodes. Life has been lifing pretty hard lately, but I have a lot of backlog to work through. So you're going to be getting a lot of amazing episodes throughout September. As always, thank you all so much for listening and following along with the show. I really, really enjoy being able to do this, talking to so many people. It's been fantastic to be able to share in people's joy with their works and share that with y'all, and then have that feedback and get to meet more people working on more things to be able to share more. Like I said, I'm really excited for the next couple episodes, so I hope you're looking forward to them as well. If you want to support the show, the best way is what you're already doing, listening and enjoying. If you wouldn't mind giving a rating wherever you're listening would be fantastic. And, even a little review if you're so inclined. But 5 stars if you're enjoying the show would mean the world. If you've got a little extra money in your pocket, supporting the show on Patreon would mean so much. But know that listening and enjoying, sharing on social media, that stuff means so much. On the Patreon, you can find audio and video archives of every episode, as well as special outtakes and bonuses for supporting members. There's also Q&A threads for upcoming guests if you want to put your own questions in. And I absolutely can't end the episode without thanking our friends over at Plus One EXP for their amazing support. I've been chatting with Tony a little bit lately. We'll see what happens. You'll know. If you're looking to get your hands on some of the most interesting, innovative, evocative TTRPGs around, look no further than Plus One EXP. Zine Club delivers a pack of exciting, new, and I believe exclusive TTRPGs right to your inbox every month. If you're looking to check it out, you can use code WDPodcast, all one word, to get 10% off your first month. And believe it when I say it is well worth the cost. That code will also get you 10% off anywhere else on the store, any physical or digital purchase. Again, that's WD Podcast, all one word, 10% off your first month of Zine Club or anything in the store. That's enough out of me. I hope wherever you are, you're happy, healthy, and safe. And I'll see you in the next one.